morning. Just as folks are gathering in, we have a little bit of a different routine this morning on this Wednesday morning. I wanted you to just kind of hear from our staff. These are the folks that have been pulling a lot of weight and kind of caring for the life of the church. But I wanted to take just the opportunity today just to kind of hear what's going on in their lives and what's happening in life. So, and if you have a question for someone on here, something that's really been bugging you about somebody on the team here, then maybe this isn't the forum to do that. But if you have some other questions, some fun questions, we'd love to hear from you about those things as well. So you're missing one person here. That's Michael Blue, who is in the middle of class right now, and when he gets done with that doctoral seminar, he's going to slide in and take the empty seat right now. So if you've got things to say about Michael, now's the time to say them. He can't defend himself. There's some things that, anybody got a Michael joke or story that you want to tell right now? Now is the time to do that. So basically, I wanted to just put forward our staff today and again, just let you hear from them, and for me to have opportunity to just say publicly how much I appreciate them and the difference that they are making in the life of our church. So I wanted to just kind of ask them about how life is. I'm going to begin with Whitney, because she is the person who is closest to me right now, although socially distant. But also because Whitney had a birthday yesterday.
I did.
Was that a secret?
Not really a secret, just not like highly advertised. Like I'm not taking out a billboard or anything.
So tell us, how did you celebrate your birthday yesterday?
Well, I got to go to church, which I must say, last year my birthday was Easter Sunday, so that is 2 years in a row I got to go to church on my birthday, so that's pretty cool.
Okay.
And then after church we went home, just us, my mom and my sister came. I didn't sit on the sofa next to my mom. She was across in a patio chair. And we sat on the back patio and ate pizza and Mississippi mud and just kind of hung out for a little bit. Very quiet, very nice.
All right. Whitney, when you think about the quarantine ministry, what are some things that you've enjoyed about quarantine ministry that are different from what you've been doing?
Well, there's Michael.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey. I have to say that as a staff, we've been kind of calling everybody and just touching base. That is probably one of, even like post-quarantine, one of my new favorite things ever in the whole ministry deal. Because, I'm in the back with the kids a bunch, and I don't always get to see a lot of the grown-ups. And even when I do see them, it's usually running somewhere else really quick, and I get to go, hey, good morning. But with the phone calls, I've actually gotten to have some really, really awesome conversations with people. People I would have normally never gotten to stop and talk to because we just kind of pass each other. And it has been so great. Like, it is my favorite thing to make calls and get to talk to everybody during the week.
That's a neat thing for you because you grew up in this church. You
Pretty much.
know
I got here when I
so
was
many
16.
folks. Kind of one of the things that we do when we say, now who is that person? We call Whitney to find out who that person is, who their mama is, and who their siblings are, and
where they went to high school, where they dated.
all of those details.
She's our historian.
Yeah, she lets us know. But we appreciate that. Your favorite Whitney's World video that you've done?
Well, I know we had talked about it a little bit yesterday. I had said that the bunny, although the bunny craft is not my favorite of all the things we've done, but I would have to say my favorite is when the kids are online, like live with us, and I get to talk to them right then. That's any one where I see the kids and they like comment, like Tyler and Reagan will say, hey, it's Reagan, and I get to talk to them. That is my favorite. So anyone where I get to see them.
All right. I love all of them. I love when Allie's on there. Derek was on there with you. The one that I was most jealous that I didn't get to be a guest star on was when you tasted all the chocolate.
Oh, yesterday. That was funny.
How did I not get invited to that?
I'm sorry.
Michael, how are you doing over there?
I'm doing good.
Michael, you're in class right now. I mean, not right now.
Well, skipping out on the last 10 minutes before the break.
Okay.
Nobody tell my professor.
I was nobody knows that.
He told them that this was a staff emergency.
That's right.
And so here you are. But what's the seminar? What's the class that you're taking right now?
Class on developing discipleship strategies of the church.
Okay.
I know, riveting.
That sounds
Well, it really is.
It's good stuff.
Discipleship strategies. How
Yeah.
much of this is a refresher for you? How much of this is like, ooh, I gotta write that down?
There was one or two nuggets I got out that were like brand new that I haven't seen or heard, and I was like, oh, that's good. But a lot of the books are starting to run together because they're
Right.
taking a lot of the same things, and it's either a 3-point to a 5-point. So you're trying to decide which, oh, this is what that author was writing about in this book. So so it all kind of merges together because the books are merging together as well. But it's good. It's good stuff.
Of all the seminars that you've taken, and you're most of the way through your doctoral seminars.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite topics that you've covered that are closest to your heart?
This is actually probably one of my favorite classes.
Yeah,
so
this is
far.
kind of your
This
wheelhouse.
is my wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
The other one I took last month was Christian education, so that was a little easier for me as well. But also I had one on strategic leadership. That was, the reading assignments were different, not my wheelhouse, but very educational.
Okay.
Talking about, one of the books I had to read was the Golden Gate Seminary that moved, and how the president
Oh, wow,
of the university moved it. And he talked about, I didn't have to move just staff, I had to move students, I had to move people that worked here for 50 years. How do I move 100 and something miles away, a whole
Change history
campus,
and all that.
change everything? So,
Michael, when we think quarantine, how has quarantine impacted your ministry? How has it impacted your family?
family-wise, Laura works at a hospital, so we were separate for 4 weeks. We didn't let anybody know that because I don't want everybody know Laura's home alone. But for the first 4 weeks of quarantine, when we stopped meeting here at church, I actually moved in with my in-laws for 4 weeks with the kids because she's working at the hospital and we have some high-risk family members and we didn't want to make sure they got exposed. But the day after Easter, we moved home. So it was exciting.
4 weeks, your family was separated.
Correct.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But it's over with now, and
It's
you're
over.
together again, and that's
It's over because everyone stayed home.
Yeah.
I need you to keep staying home, otherwise I have to move out of the home.
Hey, we've got a bunch of folks that are watching on here. I don't know which one of us is more popular, but we've got a few more viewers than usual. But it's good to see.
It's me and Billy.
Okay. Feel free to jump in there and take that credit. Sherry is there, Susan is there, Debbie is there, Juanice is there, Peggy's there. Brian, you're there and here. How are you doing that?
I'm keeping up. I'm
All
trying
right.
to see, make sure that there aren't any questions.
Claudia's there, Christina's there, Gail, Miss Etta.
Good morning, Miss Etta.
Miss Etta called me the other day with a theological question that she needed my input on. I tried to help her with that. It was quarantine related. So that was good. Let's see, Miss Brenda is there. Marie is there. Let's see who else is there. Mr. Clyde, he had a birthday just this week. Happy birthday to him. He is out there. Brian's mom is out there again. April is out there.
Didn't somebody else have a birthday this week, Tim?
We
covered
covered
this.
Oh, we already covered
We
that.
covered
Covered
You're
this.
late.
Man, I gotta get here on time
We
next
actually
time.
had a pay.
Yeah, we have a whole thing.
We had a big party without you.
You missed
Yeah,
it.
you missed it.
Stephen Smith is out there. Good to see folks out there. Miss Sherry says, Brother Mike, keep up the good teaching. She really appreciates that. You got the call out on that. That's good.
All
Billy, I want to talk about you.
Sure.
Most of the rest of us have our online ministry goes church-wide. Your online ministry is a little bit different. Tell us about what you're doing with youth.
Yeah, we've been doing Zoom meetings every Wednesday at 6 o'clock so we can kind of hang out and see each other, spend a little time. It's been kind of silly, been goofy, but they've enjoyed hanging out with one another and seeing each other and trying to give them an update on what's going on with camp stuff and trying to keep them encouraged because it's hard for them. They're used to being together at least once, if not a couple times a week, and it's really difficult for them to be apart and not have that time together. So we're trying to make that up the best we can. We're also doing some YouTube videos every couple of weeks to try to give them a little something different for other people to watch and so they can kind of share that with one another.
Okay. If there's a parent of a youth that's watching today, or sitting in the group right now,
Right.
we've got a couple of, what are some advice that you would give to youth parents to to handle life and their youth and their school kids
Just,
in this season?
Stay positive. It's hard. I know, like at our house, it's completely different. Everybody's under the same roof all the time, and you just need to be positive with them. Stay active. My kids, I've noticed at the very beginning of this, every afternoon they were doing art. They were outside drawing stuff, doing different things. So just trying to stay active within the rules that are set for us, and just being positive and spending some time studying God's Word with them, really encouraging them, because it's difficult for them. This is a completely different world. You know, we think of what our generation having 9/11 was a big thing. This is something they'll never forget a lot of.
Right.
This will be a completely different, something that they'll look on and tell their kids, hey, this quarantine was something. This is different, and life changed.
Right, and the length of this is lasting long.
Absolutely.
Mentally, 9/11 was in our heads for a long time.
That's right.
But in terms of, this is months.
Yeah.
And we're not sure when the end is there, and so that's a really unique experience.
And it's like a Groundhog Day, right? It's
Yeah.
over and over. So.
And you're trying to figure out, how do we recognize seniors?
Yeah,
That's
that's
how do we do that? And we don't know the answer to
Yeah,
that yet.
I mean, our hearts go out to our seniors, because our graduates this year, because, I mean, they were supposed to have graduation next month, and now all that's been postponed. They're gonna do some virtual graduations, and that's hard on them, and so we would like to do something to recognize them, and we're gonna work on that.
Now, the thing is, I think most of us, by the time we got to our senior years, along with everyone else, man, I just wish I could just drop out right now and
Right.
skip all of this. You know, be careful what you wish for,
That's
because
right.
sometimes you don't really want that. But, well, I mean, isn't that true? What we would have said, you know, come mid-March of our senior years, man,
Like,
get me
done.
out of here. I don't ever want to show up here again.
Right.
And somebody in that senior class made that wish, and it happened.
Well, you know, I'd asked our seniors every time I see them, Wednesday, how many more days you got left? How many more days you got left? And they'd be like, oh, you know, so many days, I can't wait for it's over with, and then all of a sudden it's over, and they're like, man, I sure do miss the opportunity to do my graduation, my prom and stuff, so it's different.
All right, let's take a moment and talk to our staff MVP. Nancy.
I think that would be you.
No way.
Nancy, you are the one that just about everything that our church does goes through you. You had no idea that when you came to work here just about a year ago, I don't know when your 1 year anniversary is, but it's probably about this time.
Yeah.
That you would be the person who held this church together. Are you?
Yeah, I'm feeling pressure.
She's like, let me call the personnel committee. I need to talk to
Wait a
them.
minute.
That's all right.
Nancy, are you having fun?
Yes, it's surely challenging. I kind of feel the pressure on Sunday mornings when we have to hit live, make sure that everything's working, everything's going through, the camera work. Because before, you know, it was just a typo. You know, I would have to worry about a typo on Facebook or making sure that a post was set. You know, but now it's like streaming to everybody on, you know, YouTube or Facebook. So yeah, the pressure is a little higher.
But in church, you have to just understand that almost everything that anyone else here does these days finishes with a phone call to Nancy and says, okay, here's my idea. Can we do this? And so far, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but she's always told me yes, and she's delivered it, and she's got
Wait,
it done.
no is an option?
Not for another couple of weeks.
All right, Nancy. But we are grateful for
Tim,
that.
You saw the one time she wasn't in charge of something, my screen went sideways.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is
Michael
why.
has not been given any new responsibilities in technology. But that's good. But we appreciate that. Brian, you're in the back there. You're running a lot of stuff for us in terms of worship. Probably you are used to working with corporate, congregation, the full body. How are you planning, and what are we doing differently? What are you doing differently?
Yeah, well, the main thing is that I just miss having, over the course of my week, I make music multiple times throughout the week with up to, between the choirs and everything, 50, 70 people, and now it happens one time on Sunday morning with 3 other people. And so scaling it down has been something that's different, and it's been a little bit challenging, because that means that there's some songs that we're not going to be able to do for a while. And then 2, you know, the whole point of worship and what we do on the platform is to encourage the people that are in the congregation, and no longer are there people down front where I can see them, but we're spread throughout everywhere. So trying to find ways to judge how things are going, like watching the stream, whenever people like or love
Yeah.
it. I actually have my phone sitting on my music stand so I can see whenever people are loving something or liking something or engaging. So it's been really interesting to find these different ways to gauge how engaged people are from their homes. And, you know, of course, not being able to look into their homes and see everyone worshiping in their PJs.
But part of the process of worship is this participation and this engagement. And so when we're here in the building, when people raise their hands, when they sing at volume, when they clap, when they hear something good, it adds to that texture. And the little buttons, as silly as it is, kind of allow us to have some of that same experience. But that just reminds us that when we come back, that worship is supposed to be highly participative, and that your participation encourages the person next to you or semi-next to you.
Yeah, it's not, you know, sometimes when we come into church, it's like we turn off and it's just, I'm going to walk and sit down, sit in my place and enjoy the show. But that's not really what it is. We all are participating in worshiping God. He's the one that gets to sit and enjoy the worship. We are the ones that give our worship.
Okay.
And so when we walk through the doors, it's not just a time for us to come and chill out. It's a time for us to come and sing and worship and participate and read scripture. So I'm looking forward to that time when we can all be back together. But it was really nice last night to have all the horns honking whenever they liked what was going on.
I think we should incorporate that when we come back. Somehow incorporate like a horn.
I'm
like
sure there's an
horn.
app on
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something, 'cause I totally do. I love that. That's
there's
pretty
an
awesome.
there's an app on your phone. I'm sure that
It'll
you
honk.
can get that. Boy, that could get rowdy in
I think
here.
that should be incorporated somehow when we get to come back, because that's pretty fun.
I think it's really transformative to have honking horns in a parking lot be a sign of blessing and not anger. I mean, just as a reflex, you hear those honking horns like, oh man, where's the problem? What's going
Honestly,
on
I think
here?
I think it sounds like a party. Like when they all start
See,
honking, I'm like,
I lived in South Florida. It
It's like
doesn't
a party
sound like a
game.
party.
So-
So to me, it sounds
So
like
the-
there's a threat about to be
The
made.
first time we did pop-up church, I was at the street holding the sign up, so I didn't hear the radio, and all of a sudden the horns start going off. I had no idea why they were going off. I'm like, man, what's going on?
that's amen.
I found that out this time.
Now, Brian, you miss working with the choir?
Yeah, I mean, I miss working with the choir and
You miss taking
working with
all
other
those
people.
voices and taking, just, regular people and turning them into a beautiful choir.
Yeah, I miss, there's part of our worship that is somewhat artistic. And as a creative, artistic person, I miss being able to work with that kind of thing and be able to take an hour or 2 hours to mold sound into something that we present on Sunday morning.
See, here's what I'm wondering about. You haven't asked us to sing at all.
Actually-
we have
No,
regular
we're
staff
good.
meetings.
Actually-
and you have not invited us to be.
I have asked-
You have not looked at us and said, you know what, guys? I think we can do something with your
We can be a
talents.
band.
You have not said that a single
Yeah.
time.
So actually, a long time ago, I did ask Whitney and Derek to join the choir because they were all-state choir. I think you were all-state band.
I was quiet.
I heard
You're
For the
Whitney and
record, they
Derek.
mute our mics while we're in doing worship on Sunday morning.
And I've asked Michael was all-state in an all-state choir too, and I've asked him to play guitar and do some. He's done musical stuff before.
I'll
Well,
hold the
and-
guitar, man.
What I'm hearing is
I
that the list
heard-
of people who are invited is getting larger, but I'm still on the
Well, no, 'cause
outside of that.
You know, there are a couple times that you have joined the praise team because they forgot to turn your mic off.
Yeah.
But isn't it true that in a former church, Susan played and you sang for them?
They did, and that church
Okay,
doesn't
so-
exist anymore.
No. I was saying, where's our duet? We have not gotten to Susan, Tim. Everybody should like and comment if you want to hear Tim and Susan sing for us and play on a Sunday morning.
Well, hey, I'll
Wait
say,
a minute.
our first time we did worship, Tim and I were behind Brian singing, and we were singing along. and then all of a sudden Brian's voice cut out, and it was just Tim and I singing, and we both looked at each other like,
All right, let's see, we've covered everybody, huh?
Well, wait,
Well, what about
we
you?
didn't cover you. How are you and Susan doing at home?
We're doing fantastic. We're doing great.
How's Susan's grandma doing?
She's doing okay. I mean, she's there in a nursing home, so we don't get to see her that often. Susan runs things by her once or twice a week. But I'm sure it's, I mean, just like for all of the folks there, it's difficult because they're just absent touch and engagement. And so Susan misses that a great deal.
So, go ahead. You got a
They say
question?
you're just rapid
No,
firing me.
I'm sorry. I was just wondering if you and Susan had a new favorite quarantine at home or a new activity y'all gotten to do that's become like a new favorite thing y'all get to do together. Because you have so much free time now.
It's a joke that's been around on Facebook for a little bit. We're playing a game called Why Do You Do It That Way?
Yeah.
So that's one game that we're playing. But you know, Susan works on puzzles. I don't. I watch some old baseball games on YouTube. Watch some old All-Star games. Watch like the World Series from 1971. Very interesting. 1971 was the last all-day game World Series. No night games. So it was interesting. Maybe I have that wrong, but it was 71. Doesn't matter. I've been watching old baseball games. I put my earbuds in and watch those. She works on a puzzle. We watch some stuff on TV.
But y'all play dominoes or something, I saw.
Every once in a while we play dominoes, but it feels like dominoes with two people is not really that exciting.
No.
With the
Are y'all
official
betting
rules,
Oreos on it?
the official rules is you're supposed to play to like 500, and our scores were like 6
Wait.
and 2.
Wait.
I'm like,
When do you cue? Okay, so Allie just told me how to play Mexican train dominoes.
yeah, you can't do that with 2 people.
We do, but I didn't know I'm supposed to be keeping score. She's been cheating me the whole time. Are you supposed to keep
She's just
score?
been winning and not
Yeah,
telling you.
she's not telling you.
Look, she's gonna fit in at our senior adult game night
Well,
really
she
well.
She learned from the seniors, and then she taught me, but you keep score?
You keep score, but our scores
Yeah.
were like 0s and 1s. Like we're supposed to be doing this till 500, or like we're.
I don't know how
we're
you
not
keep
gonna do-
score. You count the
Well,
dots?
Play
whatever
spades.
you're stuck with in your,
Oh.
whatever you're stuck with that you didn't get to play, the winner gets those points.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's follow up question. Since Whitney's, are you done with your?
I'm sorry,
Tim,
I'm
Tim,
done.
I'm sorry. Tim, what's your one takeaway from us being quarantined and the whole COVID thing? What's your highlight? What's the one thing you're gonna take away from this?
Man, it's just, I don't have a great answer to that, but one of the things is, and I've talked about this publicly, we talked about it last night at the pop-up service, is that no generation has had to give up church like we've had to give up this way. But at the same time, no generation has had a chance to be refreshed. I think, you know, just about all of us that are in this circle or semicircle or whatever shape this is, this double half moon, you know, all of us grew up in church. And so one of the things that we have struggled with over time is that we get stuck in a rut and the routine and the predictableness of church. And so we are being granted this opportunity to step away and be able to come back refreshed. And the other thing is that from our end of it, we're given this opportunity to come back intentional. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do. The reason why we're still spending time together is not just to keep the things going for this week and these days, but we are trying to make sure that when we come back, that we are intentional about the ministry, that our worship is with purpose, our small groups are with purpose, that discipleship, that's why I want to ask you about those classes. And I've been asking, you know, Michael, I said, I want all the syllabus, I want all the book reviews that are coming from this class, because we want to be really, really better at discipleship and commitment moving forward.
And that's the one word in every book you're gonna find. If you're gonna make disciples, it's gotta be intentional.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen just because you wish it. It doesn't happen just because we use generic terms, it's because the people are intentional about it. Now, of all the books you're reading, all the models they use, their first thing is, if you're not intentional, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So,
And then the other things, we're learning to do some things differently. I mean, we're learning how to do video. If you go back and you watch probably one of our first videos that we did, whether it be our corporate worship or whether it be each of our opening videos, you know, I hope that we're better at all of those things than we were when we started. We're learning to do those things, and we're going to figure out how those things fit in going forward. If I were to just close with a passage of scripture, and I know we've kind of run long here, but as we think about it, closing with a passage of scripture, I think about the Jeremiah 29:11 verse that says, I know the plans I have for you, plans for good. That the context of that verse is actually, it was a reminder to the people of Israel in captivity, in Babylon. And they had two things. They were itching to get home, or they didn't believe they'd ever be able to go home, and that they were a forgotten people. And what God says to them is, you're not forgotten. I have plans for you. And they're plans that it's for good. It's for good. Even though it doesn't feel like good right now, it's for good. And then the rest of that passage that he talks about there is he says, so now, get married, plant gardens, make the most of right now. Don't just put it off for other days. Don't just seal yourself off and say, I'm not doing anything until this is over. He says, no, part of the plans that I have for you are for the future, but part of the plans that I have for you are for right now. And so we're trying to live that out together as a team as well. And so lots of good comments here online. Really, really appreciate them. I wanted you to hear the work that they're doing, but I also just want you to know that we would hang out together even if this wasn't our job. We have a great deal of joy together. This team trusts each other. This team has each other's back. It's a really, really great team, and I doubt that any of us have ever served on a team that was as tight and as cooperative as this team is. And church, I just want you to know that if it looks like we get along, and if it looks like we enjoy spending time, we're not good enough actors to pull that off.
y'all seen that on Facebook lately. We don't act.
It's true. We had staff meeting yesterday, and we had a hoot in staff meeting yesterday, and we do, and we have a joy of working together. We have a joy of serving you, and that's what we want to do. We want you to know that our task is to care for you, to challenge you, to build you up, and that's what we want to do in this season, and that's what we want to do in the next season. All right. We love you. Do you love them?
I do.
Yeah, we love you.
We love you.
Very much.
And we look forward to today, and we look forward to tomorrow as well. God bless.